All right. Well, look, thank you, as I said, for having me here. It's a very exciting time at PHARMAC on quite a number of fronts. One of them is that the reason people work at PHARMAC is that they like buying medicines for people. And with recent budget uplifts, first of all, filling in the fiscal hole at budget 24 to the tune of $1.776 billion, and subsequently adding $604 million, we now see budgets of around $1.6 billion a year, around $500 million or nearly a third higher than the trend several years ago. That amount of money means that there's been a flurry of activity at PHARMAC as people have sought to use the money to buy the pharmaceuticals that New Zealanders deserve and that they've been promised. And that's led to further work, for example, ensuring that we can get the administration of those medicines done efficiently. That's been generally an exciting time for people who work at PHARMAC and for people at patients. And I've been really appreciative of how people at PHARMAC have responded to the challenge. They have stood up and said, right, we've got a job to do. We're going to have to up our work rate. They've done it. And you've seen continuous announcements of new medicines being available to New Zealanders. There's also a few other pieces of work going on. In my letter of expectations, I said that I hoped that PHARMAC's culture would evolve away from being perhaps perceived as an adversarial organisation, and I don't blame PHARMAC for that. Their job was to save money for taxpayers, say no when they had to, and to go toe-to-toe with pharmaceutical companies to get a better deal. But that has meant that they've sometimes come across or been perceived as quite an adversarial organisation. However, I think our new chair, Paula Bennett, and our chief executive have taken up the challenge of improving the culture right across PHARMAC, and we're seeing increasingly better consultation, more acknowledgement of patient voice, and more collaboration with clinicians and providers. And that's been really visible in recent summits that we've held, where people have said that for the first time they felt, in their experience at least, they felt like PHARMAC was really there to have a dialogue. There's also an ongoing challenge around who in the New Zealand healthcare system manages devices. Since 2012, PHARMAC have nominally been responsible for purchasing and procuring medical devices. To this day, even 12 years later, there's still a split between Health New Zealand and PHARMAC in terms of who actually does that. However, there's a current review being undertaken, and I expect, as again in my letter of expectations, that one way or another we're going to get much greater clarity around whether PHARMAC is all in or all out of medical devices, a decision that successive governments over the past 12 years haven't managed to make decisively. So those are a few of the areas where PHARMAC has been working and operating at a big picture level. I think one area that I expect people will want to ask about is the change from Reedy-Rota to Mylan patches, and this has led to considerable outcry from within the community and from prescribers. Though it has to be said, not all. There are some people who are pleased with the change, and we should remember that different patients have different preferences. What's clear is that many patients receiving HRT are not happy with the proposed change to Mylan, and for that reason, I've written to PHARMAC and said, well, I recognise that this process started some time ago. I believe it started last June, before the current government was in place, certainly before I was the minister and before PHARMAC received my letter of expectations. However, the outcome is now with the patients, and it's them that we have to think about. So I've asked them to consider carefully whether or not the level of patient voice was involved in this decision. And I've heard back from the chair just in the last few hours actually saying, well, actually, yes, we are going to take another look at the role of patient voice in getting to this decision. That doesn't mean it will change, because I can't promise that PHARMAC will change its decision. What it does mean is that the new culture that we're instilling in PHARMAC will be retrospectively applied to the decision around Reedy-Rota and Mylan for all of those women who are concerned about the supply of hormone replacement therapy. So those are some of the issues that I thought might be worth drawing your attention to, but obviously you have your own questions. I'm looking forward to answering them.
Certainly.
Want to ask, what is HRT? Because I gather that's female contraception. Sorry?
Hormone replacement therapy.
Okay.
So the reason why it's increased, the demand has increased, is because there are a lot of women that are going through menopause because we have an aging population, and COVID-19 caused a lot of supply issues, and it impacted production. So I'm going to try and jump the gun a bit early, because there might be some people going, oh, the trans people are taking all the HRT. It's not them. It just has to do with supply and manufacturing issues.
Yeah.
And increased demand because of aging population.
Yeah, and I'm assuming this is going to be brought up later in the thing as well, with people asking questions to David regarding this as well. But it is a concerning thing, considering a lot of stuff, not just that has been caught up in the COVID bottleneck that has caused a lot of our supply to get, especially with New Zealand, us being in the corner of the world away from all the major producing nations.
There was at one point, to get something from China to New Zealand, it had to go via Germany, was some of the only available shipping routes that were available in the, was it end of 2020.
We're a tricky country to ship to.
Yeah.
A lot of logistics involved.
Yeah, that was quite. So that was something that can just put into context as you're shipping. You may had to ship to a corner of the world that you traditionally don't, just to get onto a ship that could get you to New Zealand. Thank
Hey,
goodness
we're
it's
not that far
closed
away
anymore.
from. We're not that far away from Antarctica, so it's like,
Yeah.
hey, if you want, imagine like you're shipping stuff to Antarctica. That's the big logistical nightmare.
It also didn't
Yeah.
help that the Suez Canal got blocked as well by their
True.
ships, so
Yep.
everyone had to go around.
Yes, the Cape Horn, that was quite a bit.